Hello.
How you doing?
Doing great. How are you?
I am good. I had a moment this morning. I don't know if I would associate it with all that's going on right now. I think it was just one of those am I doing enough moments, which kind of rear its head in my life maybe every 6 or so months. So I'm sure it had a little bit with, all the COVID-19 and everything, but
Sure.
mostly I think it was just my normal entrepreneurial
Yeah,
mindset. So
it happens. No worries.
it does happen. Everybody, I think, has had to evolve our normal daily life, how we distribute our information in daily life, how we engage with people, obviously, has completely changed. And I really wanted to get just the insight from a teacher. So I had the opportunity to speak with a director of a school, of an early education school yesterday, which is dealing with their
Mhm.
own problems, right, and issues, trying to help the little ones who parents don't want them necessarily on a computer, or they don't have the ability to sit there at a computer for long periods of time. And so now to swing over to the other side and chat with somebody who deals with only high schoolers.
Correct. Yeah, it's as low as ninth grade
Okay.
for me.
Yeah, and just chat about, what you're going through. What does that look like? How do you support your students? Would love to just chat about it. Before I kind of jump into there, I'd love to just have you introduce yourself and let everybody know who you are and what you do and what keeps you busy.
You got it. Hi, I'm Mark Philippi. I teach high school physics at TMI Episcopal, little private Episcopal school out in I-10 in Camp Bullis. And this is my ninth year teaching at TMI. So I teach ninth grade physics. We teach physics to ninth graders. It's our ninth grade level science course. And then I also teach both different versions of AP physics. So I teach AP Physics 1 without calculus, and then AP Physics C, both mechanics and electricity and magnetism with calculus.
Okay. Lots of good things. Lots of fun stuff. I'm sure some people are being triggered thinking about physics. Yes, finally.
They never, well, most people, when I tell them I'm a physics teacher, they say something like, oh, I hated physics in high school, or, my physics teacher was a pretty fun person, but I'm not sure I learned much. So I don't know. I just always tell those people, you didn't have me as a physics teacher, so it's fine. You don't know.
Yeah, and honestly, I mean, we interact, Beyond Education interacts a lot with the TMI community, and I have close friends who have been there for quite a while. And honestly, the feedback that I hear from you, and I think I've already told you this, has always been the combination of you're super fun and engaging, and the kids love you, and you have a personality they can connect with, and you know how to teach physics.
And you learn things, right?
Yeah, and you learn things, novel concept. So
what more could you ask for?
yeah.
Thank you.
No,
I appreciate that.
It's such a gift to have such a strong, competent, passionate STEM teacher. So I'm excited to have that. But yeah, I would love to know, what does your normal school day look like now that we've gone 100% distance learning for the indefinite future?
Mm-hmm. I think maybe the cop out answer on that is I don't think that we've had a normal day really. Um, so we just started our distance learning program this week. So that means that by yesterday we actually have it split into two different assignment days. So on Mondays and Thursdays, my periods 1 through 3 will get an email with a video and an assignment from me, and then on Tuesdays and Fridays, periods 4 through 7 will get an email from me with an assignment and a video and yada yada. So essentially, I will assign my students things twice a week, and then Wednesdays. So today, for example, and today will be the first time that we'll be trying this out. On Wednesdays, we're going to have what we're considering, and I usually tend to use quotes when I talk about this now, but we're having on Wednesdays we have office hours. So I'll have a decent amount of chunk of time today with each of my classes, and so I've invited them to a Zoom meeting, and so I'll just get to kind of talk to them, check in, see how the email went, see how they're doing, honestly, primarily.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to spend a little bit of time talking to them about class stuff, but I mean, mostly I want to know how they're doing as people.
Right. Do you feel like that's the big conversation and it takes up the majority of the conversation right now with kids as far as just checking in on their social and emotional needs rather than the actual instruction.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm really thankful that we're, I guess I'm learning to be thankful for a lot of things these days, but one of the things that I'm thankful for right now is that I am dealing with kids who are as only as young as ninth grade. So they're able to figure out how to get on Zoom by themselves. I mean, I really I have no idea what I would do with and have so much respect for teachers who are dealing with hordes of elementary school kids and trying to do virtual learn. I really have I have no idea how they're going to go about doing that, but I have every bit of confidence in the world in them. I mean, I've said for a long time that the number one trait you would want in a teacher is flexibility. It's adaptability. It's
The
being
number one trait
reflective.
actually in a person, period. I have a friend of mine who is a high level corporate consultant working with executive level people. And she said anymore, we were just having a conversation about this actually, that anymore EQ, which is emotional intelligence, and AQ, which is adaptability, has now surpassed IQ, right? So your head smart, because
Absolutely.
you have to be able to shift. And I mean, for teachers, for the kids to go through this process, I mean, I feel like that's one of the things I keep trying to find the silver lining for the students, especially for the high schoolers and the seniors who are thinking, so am I not going to be able to walk the stage?
Mhm.
Like, yes, let's sit in that moment and the seriousness and the sadness and the emotions of that. And when we're ready to shift, like, let's also talk about your adaptability and the fact that you can look back on this and say, I went through a really hard time and I was able to shift and change and go with whatever the current was that presented itself to me and find how to coast through it well. Because it's going to serve
Absolutely.
you throughout your life. This, as we know, as
Hmm.
I would say, younger adults, we're kind of in that middle stage where we're like officially adults, but still kind of younger. Um, it's we know that that hard things continue to come. It doesn't end with the pandemic. This is just really unique for all of us.
Yeah, I mean the thing that I keep getting back to or kind of hanging my hat on is that I mean we as teachers we're gonna draw on those skills that we've always drawn on. Like that ability to be reflective and read the room and see how things are going and adapt to it. I mean that's what we do in the classroom every single day on a period by period basis. And I mean this is obviously a unique challenge, but we're going to draw on the same skills that we've always drawn on.
Right. Yeah, I think that's so good. Have you been having any conversations with parents, and what's some of the feedback that you're getting from them?
I haven't quite yet. I mean, actually, largely the communication that I've had with parents have been about them wanting to, or them expressing their students' desire to kind of fill that extracurricular void, which obviously is a huge one. I mean, like as much as I try and engage kids during the school day, I mean there are some kids who live for lacrosse after school, or who live for their theater productions or their band practices, and they're not doing any of that.
Right.
So it's a
What do you?
struggle to try and get them those kind of outlets.
Yeah.
So I mean, we've had people talk about online D&D clubs. We've had people set up poker tournaments and all sorts of things. So
Yeah.
they're trying. That void is being filled quickly, I think.
Right. I mean, and I was even thinking. I was thinking it, and then of course I saw a post right about somebody saying, the average commuting time ends up being about an hour round trip. So now the majority of the population now has an extra hour. And I'm thinking for myself and for kids, I mean, my commuting time was far more than that. The amount of time I spend in my car that now is decreased. And for kids, you're not passing between class periods. You don't have extracurriculars. So what are you doing with all of that? And I find myself kind of going back to what you were saying as far as checking in with them. And we may have to have a follow up after you have some of your Wednesday check-ins.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Uh, is is challenging them to find something productive to fill that void. So I'm trying to give them reading lists of books that I found that have been really helpful. A lot of them are entrepreneurial or like business strategy stuff, or just good
Sure.
stories. But figuring out like, hey, go listen to this audiobook or read this book or watch this master class or something. Like eventually this time is going to pass. And wouldn't it be great if you could walk away and say, not only did I do distance learning, but I also pulled this skill out of it too. For those that are ready to do it, I think there's a fine balance, and I'm finding myself having to figure out what that balance is between like the high achiever, like, oh, I need to go do all these things because now I have all this time to, okay, but I also need to breathe.
Right. Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that added to that challenge, that there are a lot of kids with sort of this unexpected free time that they're gonna either not know what to do with or feel like they need to be productive 100% of the time, which isn't the case, right? Like a lot of times that's just something in your brain telling you, I need to be doing something, I need to be accomplishing something, and that's like I said, that's not always the case. There's definitely a lot of value in just sort of slowing down, and I guess not necessarily being bored, but yeah, almost kind of being bored. I mean, our chaplain, Father Nate, has talked a lot about the value of being bored and how a lot of creativity and great reflective and almost, spiritual moments can come out of that. But I mean, I think one of the big struggles is to recognize that for as many kids as are, looking for something to do, there are probably a decent number of kids too who have become de facto babysitters for their younger students. I mean, their parents still have to go to work, and they're stuck at home with some sort of elementary school kid, or like, yeah. I mean, one of the things that we've tried to do at TMI is try and make our lessons, try and make our learning as asynchronous as possible. So for example, the emails that I referenced earlier, there's really nothing aside from these Wednesday office hour times. I forgot my quotes, office hour times, where there's really nothing aside from that where they should be required to be in front of their computer at a designated time. Now, there are certainly exceptions to that, right? Like, I mean, one of our history teachers is staging an online debate, just as an example off the top of my head, So, I mean, that'll be the sort of thing where all of them will need to be, in the same room at the same time. Right. But largely what we're trying to do is say, look, this is a pretty complicated time, and school schedule needs to fit around your family schedule, not the other way around.
And was that a pretty quick decision for you guys to get there? Because I do know some schools, at least right now, and I'll be very surprised if they keep this up, are doing like a one-to-one match of their schedule. So basically saying, if you had a class period from 8 to 9, you're now going to be on a Zoom call from 8 to 9, and you just go through your school day the same way. I was really surprised when I heard that.
Yeah, that surprises me as well. The going as asynchronous as possible was a decision that was made pretty quickly by our administration, by the folks who are levels and levels above me. I mean, our community and being understanding and being supportive of one another, those are the things that we really hang our hat on at TMI. So to force people to be in front of a screen for 7 hours a day, I don't think, and we don't think is good for anybody.
Yeah.
So I definitely understand the concern that a lot of teachers have, especially, I mean, you're talking to somebody who has 3 AP sections myself. So, I mean, when I first learned that we were going to have a week of extended break and then we were going to figure out how to do distance learning after that, I was pretty anxious for a long time after that, trying to figure out, how am I going to get these kids ready for the AP exam? Are they going to be at a point where they feel comfortable with this material or that material? And so, I mean, I definitely understand the anxiety surrounding that and not wanting to lose time with your kids. I definitely do understand that. We just felt like I said before, that at this point in time, school is something that needs to fit into family schedule instead of the other way around. and the College Board has been pretty understanding of that as well. So I don't know
Yeah.
how up to date. I'm sure you're pretty up to date on that, but they
Yeah,
decided
I
to
heard.
whittle down.
Yeah, I would love to hear it from the mouth of an AP teacher. So, what is your
Sure.
understanding of how College Board is dealing with the AP test? I know I'm also trying to keep a finger on what they're doing with the SAT and the ACT test.
Right.
But yeah, speak to the AP test and what that looks like, especially for physics, which is one of the big tests in terms of.
Sure. Sure. Yeah. So on pretty much. So they came out with an announcement. I want to say a couple days ago. Although every day kind of seems like a week right now. It's kind of hard to keep track of time. Um, but things are changing very quickly. But so they came out with an announcement that said we're doing testing from home this year. We're testing from home. It's going to be an abbreviated test. We're going 45 minutes as opposed to the typical hour and a half for an AP exam. And largely, and this is what I was going to get to before, is they've whittled down the content. So they've gone through. So for example, there are 8 big units in biology as the College Board sees it, and they're cutting out units 7 and 8.
Yeah.
Which means that they're going to miss a lot of not only ecology but a lot of evolution, which is huge. And in physics, they're cutting out, like I think my AP Physics 1 kids will have no electrostatics, no circuits, no waves on their test. The College Board is coming out. Sorry?
If I was the student, I would be rejoicing that there's no electrostatics. The running handle was my least favorite, although I did love waves. So
Hey, there's still rotation. So most our AP Physics C kids are not getting away from the right hand rule. That's for sure. Yeah, but the College Board should be coming out with an announcement on March 3rd as to exactly what the free response is going to look like. Or did I say March 3rd? April 3rd is when they're going to have an announcement on just a few more details so that we can be better prepared.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, we'll definitely be watching that, and I know that on the SAT, which College Board also manages, they've canceled all the upcoming tests, and I would presume that I haven't looked on their website today, and maybe they've announced when they're going to officially make their announcement, but probably sometime around April 3rd as well, I would presume. They oversee all of those tests. But yeah, it's just, again, one of those things that is a big, if you're a junior, I mean, you're thinking AP tests and SAT tests and college applications. And again, it's just that reminder. And I keep seeing this on everything that I'm watching, social media, news, whatnot, of just, we're all in this together, right? Like, we are all having to figure out, what does this look like? There's not a single person actually in the world now who isn't affected by this COVID-19 pandemic and how it's changing our daily lives. The AP test is just one of the many things.
Yeah. I mean, I keep telling myself to just be patient and, go into situations with grace and understanding. And I mean, an extra dose of patience and grace, I think, is necessary for everybody right now. And honestly, I mean, I think for as many scuffles as you see in the supermarket over toilet paper, I would assume, I really think that there's probably about 25 great examples of people being really kind and understanding with one another. So
yeah. Well, I know I'm looking at the time because I know that you've got to hop off to go do some teaching and some school stuff, but I wanted to
just those office hours.
That's right. I just wanted to wrap it up. You've already kind of dropped some pearls of wisdom throughout, but to the students and to the parents who are going through this, is there anything in particular that you're sharing in addition to the grace and the patience as far as how to walk through this distance learning?
Ooh, yeah, I should have saved grace and patience for this question, I think.
Or just reiterate that.
Yeah, I mean, I think I mean, we're doing as best we can to kind of go about things and keep just any semblance of normalcy. I mean, we still have a wellness team of folks at our school who are more than willing to talk to students when they need it during every single hour of the school day, Monday through Friday, just like usual. We've got Father Nate is live streaming our chapel services every day, Monday through Friday. I mean, so there are some fantastic things going on. You know, we've got videos being sent to us by our head of school, Father Scott. I mean, I think one of the opportunities, and this wasn't necessarily your question here, but I'm gonna just twist it just a little bit. I think one of
Please.
the opportunities is an opportunity for teachers to ask questions that are deeper, right? I mean, there are a lot of teachers right now trying to figure out, well, how am I going to stop a kid from having a cheat sheet right next to them when they're taking some sort of Google form assessment? And there are plenty of strategies to try and dissuade that kind of thing. But at the end of the day, what it really comes down to is maybe you shouldn't be asking that multiple choice question. Maybe you shouldn't be asking that very simple depth of knowledge level 1 type of recall question. And maybe what you should be doing is asking some higher order synthesis type questions, right? I mean, that's one of the big opportunities that I see in this.
Yeah. I mean, snaps for Mr. Philippi. I mean, that's huge, and I think that goes far beyond distance learning and is a much larger lesson and tip for pedagogy. Period. But I love that, and I've found myself thinking very similar things of, again, going back to adaptability. Teachers and people who have given assessments are now having to think through this in a different way, and it gives us the ability to think more deeply and be more compassionate. So Mark, I so appreciate your time. Like I said, I really want to respect it because you've got to get to your discussion group, and I would love to chat again, especially after you engage your students and understand what their needs and thoughts are running through their mind right now. But I hope that you have a great day, and thank you again.
You got it. Thanks so much. We'll check back in later.
All right, sounds good. We'll see you.
See ya.